The CEO who rejected love until he found it in kindness. The city bustled with its usual rhythm, but for Alexander Pierce, the world was predictable and cold. As the CEO of Pierce Industries, he had built an empire of steel and glass, where emotions had no place. He was sharp, decisive, and impenetrable, especially when it came to love. Women pursued him relentlessly, drawn by his wealth and status, but Alexander saw through their motives. He rejected every date his board members, family, and even his assistant tried to set up for him. Love, in his experience, was just another transaction, and he wasn't interested in buying or selling it. Then came the evening that changed everything. It was late, and Alexander was driving home when he noticed a figure crouched on the sidewalk near a busy intersection. A young woman, drenched from the rain, was huddled over something, shielding it from the storm. Cars honked, people passed by, but she remained there, unmoving. Curious, Alexander pulled over. As he approached, he saw what she was holding, a tiny, shivering kitten, barely breathing. "Are you okay?" he asked, his deep voice cutting through the rain. The woman looked up, startled. Her eyes, warm, determined, and filled with something he rarely saw, genuine concern. "I need to get her to a vet," she said, her voice laced with urgency. Alexander glanced at the kitten. It was frail, its fur matted from the storm. He was about to offer his help when the woman pulled out her wallet, fingers trembling. She counted a few crumpled bills and some coins, everything she had. Then she looked up at him, embarrassed but resolute. "I was supposed to buy dinner with this, but I can't just leave her," she admitted. Something in Alexander's chest tightened. Here she was, a complete stranger, willing to sacrifice her last dime for a helpless creature, while he, a man with more money than he could ever spend, had spent years shutting himself off from anything that wasn't calculated, profitable, or logical. "Come with me," he said impulsively. She hesitated but nodded. Together, they rushed the kitten to the nearest vet. Alexander paid for everything without a second thought. The woman, who introduced herself as Lily Carter, a struggling college student, thanked him over and over, but he waved it off. As they waited for the vet's update, they talked. Lily had dreams of becoming a veterinarian, but money was tight. She worked 3 part-time jobs, barely scraping by. Yet, despite her struggles, she chose kindness over comfort. Alexander listened, captivated. She wasn't trying to impress him. She wasn't aware of who he was or what he was worth. She was simply, herself. For the first time in years, Alexander felt something shift inside him. When the vet returned with good news, the kitten would survive, Lily's face lit up with pure joy. Alexander realized he had spent years chasing wealth, yet here was a woman who had almost nothing, and still, she was richer than most people he knew. The next day, Alexander tracked Lily down on campus. He offered her a full scholarship to complete her veterinary studies. She refused at first, insisting she didn't want charity, but he told her the truth. "You showed me something last night that I had forgotten existed. Selflessness. I've rejected love for years because I thought it was all about status and wealth. But you reminded me that real love, whether for a person or a helpless kitten, has nothing to do with any of that." Tears filled Lily's eyes. "You don't have to do this." "I want to," he said softly. Years later, Lily became a renowned veterinarian, and Alexander, the once cold CEO, had changed. He had learned that wealth meant nothing without heart, and love wasn't about power, it was about kindness. And it all started with a girl who spent her last dime to save a kitten.